Hey guys, so this is my applied assignment by Hallie Heatley, and I just want to apologize in advance for my cat if she is loud in any way. She's just been a menace this morning. Okay, so my table of contents, we're going to go over the pre-work, my research, any new learning, as well as continuing learning questions and things like that. So let's jump in. Pre-work. So my topic was how to support students with disabilities success in schools, academically and socially. And I really wanted to go over this because I want to go into teaching, when I get older, when I grow up. And I wanted to know in what ways like I could best aid my students because I want them to be able to come to me and tell me exactly what they need and I'd be able to give it to them and help accommodate them so they're able to succeed and be the best students possible. And my aspect of inclusion was education. So for my interview, I interviewed my mom, who had been a special education for about 10, who had been a special education teacher for about 10 years. And then she headed her department for 2 years before she left to go into administration. And her time there, she started lots of different initiatives, held multiple awareness weeks, tried to get held different trainings for her school and things like that. Just a lot of different things to push inclusion. And since my mom has worked with students with disabilities, I picked up on a few things with her. And I've seen a lot of problems that students have to face in schools, like teachers not listening to them, administration not doing anything. Like my mom told me about a student who was in a wheelchair and the ramp to the school had been messed up by roots of a tree. But the administration had refused to fix it because they said he could make it. He was making it. It was okay, but it was harder for him. It was a struggle. It was adding extra time to his day that he really didn't need. And then other teachers, like one time, a teacher came in my mom's room and was telling my mom about how she felt one of her students was faking his disability. He was just being lazy. He didn't want to do his work. And that just really hurt my heart because I'm like, he wasn't being lazy. He's genuinely struggling. So for my course material articles, I picked Equity Gaps for Students with Disabilities. I picked the source to really help inform me more about what other gaps were causing students with disabilities to have these issues. Race, economic status, things like that are all factors that play into students with disabilities being negatively affected. And then it also goes into ways to combat these issues like teacher training in disabilities, as well as more inclusive classrooms allowing students with disabilities to participate more with regular students as they would say. And then the other article I used was more colleges enrolling students with intellectual disabilities. And I really like this one because it really shows that schools can be inclusive if they want to. And there are different ways that schools can do this while not perpetuating stereotypes of people with disabilities. And then for the resources I use preparing teachers for work with students with disabilities, the possibilities and challenges for special ed in general teacher education. And I really like this one because it goes over proven methods that are taught to teachers on ways to help their disabled students succeed, as well as challenges that come along with implementing these strategies because there's always pushback, there's always something, especially because no two strategies are the same. No two disabled people are the same, so not one strategy is going to work for everybody. And then the second one I used was principal leadership for students with disabilities in effective inclusive schools. I used this one because it gave a lot of background history on the problems disabled people have faced in education, from teachers not believing them to not being able to access classrooms and things like that. And then it also goes into like how teachers, administration, the government can all do their part to remedy these issues because It starts from the top down. The government, administration, teachers, all these people have to do their part. So part two, then go through the evidence. This is just my interview questions. Got a little email from this between me and my mom. I was trying to be really professional. And then I just went over some questions about how she taught in the classroom, what she did to support her students, to advocate, accommodate for them, as well as like things she did um, like with families to help accommodate the students as well. And then part three in the new learning. So inclusion. So to me, inclusion in education involves addressing many different barriers for students with disabilities by giving them personalized accommodations to support accommodates and support to promote their success in education. Many schools have been focusing on creating more programs for students with disabilities, as well as just training their teachers, because that's like the first step of inclusion. You got your teachers, and they'll go ahead and they can teach the students on how to be more inclusive as well. However, there are more systematic changes that need to be had. Through the class, we Through this class, we have focused on different ways to support disabled people, and no two people are the same. So having tailored support would just help them reach their social and academic goals. These individualized approaches are important to help building social relationships and academic success. When schools are providing adequate resources to students with disabilities, they can overcome so many barriers and become even more successful in life. So for equity, equity for disabled people requires advocacy. Well, first of all, equity for disabled people is just giving them a way to do everything that everybody else is doing. And this just requires more advocacy and more personalized support, because we need to ensure this inclusion to have equity. However, there are really the gaps that are really stopping this are like gaps in resources, lack of opportunities, and diversity in education. And then, so really, this course has like focused on the important need of equitable access and support for people with disabilities, providing them with individualized plans of success. Supporting and advocating for them. I'm going to say that over and over again. Supporting and advocating for people with disabilities is one of the most important things. Throughout, we've explored the different barriers that can lead to less equity, like resources in the gap, but it's important to support them. And then access is still a major challenge in that disabled students face all the time. If you can't get to school, people don't want you in the class, that's so hard. There are also still inclusion and equity gaps that make it hard for students, even though there are laws in place that should stop these problems. There have been there have been some colleges to open their doors to people with intellectual disabilities, but there are still barriers that stop them from fully being a part of society. Throughout this course, we have seen many times people with disabilities not be given the opportunities to do more, especially in education. There are not many colleges allowing for disabled students to join and gain access to that part of life that was not able before. This has showed me the need for more comprehensive solutions that will make sure students with disabilities will have long-term success. In my continued inquiry, so my question, go back. So my question, what I wanted to know more is like, how would we help people with disabilities who were not afforded these same opportunities in education before that they have now, so they'll be able to access education and further their lives. I want to look into like programs that are set up for disabled adult learners, as well as research on how many disabled people, didn't finish school or didn't like go to get a higher education before like 2010-ish. Also, I want to go talk to a couple of disabled people who weren't able to get that higher education, see what they were going to do, what they would have done. And then some questions I have for you guys, just it's a lot, so take your time. But it says how schools can create a more inclusive curriculum that reflects a diverse need for the experiences. Another is in what ways can schools engage families and communities to support disabled students, inclusion, and access to educational resources. And one I really liked is what strategies can be employed to raise awareness and reduce stigma around disabilities within the school community. And that is the end. Thank you guys. Have a great day.